This is Mr. Largo. He is the band director at Springfield Elementary, teaching the precocious saxophone phenom Lisa Simpson, and a bunch of kids who don't really try that hard. But neither does Mr. Largo, whose career is a result of his shattered hopes and dreams. Once a promising award-winning college graduate, Mr. Largo has been reduced to conducting the same Sousa marches year after year. His life outside the school isn't much better, consisting of odd jobs to pay the bills and a long-term toxic relationship with this guy who is the worst. The worst. But they do have a cute bulldog together. This is the history of Mr. Largo. So, you know that joke from Homer at the Max, where Lisa talks about retooled TV shows that sideline characters into the background, and Mr. Largo walks by? That's what we're looking at today. Mr. Largo is an odd case in how he's like one of those Season 1 relics, like J. Lauren Pryor or Dr. Marvin Monroe. But despite being dunked on, he managed to hang in there, continuing to be a staple of the Springfield Elementary faculty. So, what's the deal with this guy? Is he just another Miss Hoover type for Lisa? Or is there something special about him, where they kept him around after all these years? Let's go back to the beginning to find out. Mr. Largo was very nearly the only Simpsons regular whose debut was in the opening credit sequence. However, he did first appear in Simpsons Roasting on an Open Fire, introducing Lisa's performance. Dang. That would have been a good piece of trivia. But his opening credits appearance is quite notable, easily the most prominently featured non-Simpsons family member. How he pounds that music stand and points in like 272 episodes. But in Season 1, he is most known for moaning Lisa. He gets on Lisa's case for improvising, telling her there is no room for a crazy bebop, and after her earnest response, totally shuts her down. In Act 3, he chastises her again, expecting no more outbursts of creativity. This is the final straw for Marge, who realizes her terrible advice. Mr. Largo serves as an early antagonist for Lisa, a negative influence and foil for the passionate and inspirational Bleeding Gums Murphy. This contrast was explicitly pointed out in Season 2, in Bart's Dog Gets an F. Lisa says that he taught her that music can be drained of its beauty and soul. Geez, Lisa, this is a family quilt, not a diss quilt. Way to immortalize his flaws forever. Oh wait, never mind. Unfortunately for him, that's pretty much it for a while. Early Simpsons had next to no interest in this guy. He's directing the concert in Bart the Daredevil, is in line for Grandpa's money. In Season 3, he's in the teacher's lounge. In Season 4, he's in line for the Itchy and Scratchy movie, behind superfans like the Flanders, Blue-Haired Otto, and Grandpa and Jasper. His only speaking role is in Whacking Day, where he's like, "Ew, a bug," and then gets mobbed by snakes. His only other notable appearance is in the beginning fantasy in Duffless, when Bart's shooting his dance ray. Mr. Largo does a dance called the Freddy. I had literally never heard of this before until researching this video, and now I am kind of obsessed. The Freddy was a fad dance from the mid-1960s by the band Freddie and the Dreamers, and then Chubby Checker made his own version. This dance is the dorkiest thing I've ever seen, and everyone needs to look it up. I guess this was the 1960s version of meme TikTok dances. Anyway, Mr. Largo sat on the bench until Season 6, when they needed him for Lisa's rival. He conducts band auditions, being impressed by Jimbo's practice, and then weighs the tough decision between Lisa and Allison. This has to be Largo's second most famous joke, how he plays with ours and Lisa's expectations, then doing the same scene a second time to mess with us further. This might be the most screw the audience joke ever. Ah, but when it rains, it pours. He appears in the PTA disbands as one of the striking teachers. The kids are also excited to finally play the forbidden music, Pop Goes the Weasel. Later, in Who Shot Mr. Burns, his job is endangered due to budget cuts. When you think about it, Mr. Largo was also robbed of Tito. Closing out the classic era, there's only one other major Largo appearance, and you all know what it is. Nobody likes Milhouse. He sets up the whole situation, asking Lisa if there's something funny about the word tromboner. It's also worth pointing out that now the forbidden music is a core part of their setlist, even being their encore. I'm starting to suspect Mr. Largo does not stand by his principles. Otherwise, in Season 8, he'll be leering at Burns at a baseball game, jackhammering at the Maison Derriere, and attending the foreclosure auction, declining the opportunity to become a successful factory owner. Things don't improve for him in the Mike Scully era, getting one major role across all 4 seasons. You know, technically, the events of Saddlesore Galactica are all Mr. Largo's fault, as he enrolls their band in a contest at the state fair where they meet Duncan. We learn of his obsession with Sousa, as he very begrudgingly lets Lisa peer pressure him into picking something else. He bitterly declares that it all sounds the same anyway. Their performance goes surprisingly well, but then they get dicked over by Ogdenville and those evil glowsticks. There's that meta joke from Homer at the Max 2 that I mentioned in the intro, pointing out how much the show has moved on from him as a character. Although this video demonstrates that he was never that prominent in seasons 1 and 2, but whatever, still a good joke. During this era, we see him in the That's Edutainment show, blowing his horn in the Moses parody, chatting up Luann at a meeting, and part of this emergency caucus. At this point, it definitely feels like the Mr. Largo story is fizzling out, just one appearance every 2 or 3 years. At this rate, this is going to be one of the shortest Simpsons histories ever. But have faith, dear viewer, because he was rescued from obscurity by Mr. Al Jean. But not immediately. Mr. Largo got jolted back to life in season 15. I don't know if there was a preponderance of school plots around this time or what, but we started getting him a couple times a year going forward. In The President Wore Pearls, he's helping with Lisa's makeover and sarcastically shooting down her ideas. In My Big Fat Geek Wedding, Homer hires him to help woo Edna, with him complaining about the humidity. He plays donkey basketball, works for Starving Teachers Moving Company, and dines with Lisa's old riding instructor? Huh. Then in season 16, he's complimenting Marge's cooking and playing organ at Ned's homecoming party. In A Star Is Torn, he complains about his Glee Club's terrible intonation, claiming he's wasting his life on them. But season 17 might be Mr. Largo's best year in Simpsons history, having roles in 6 different episodes. I know our standards are low right now, but for him, this is like Mo Sizlak levels of prominence. He directs the kids' performance of the Nutcracker, insisting on doing Act 2 anyway, and booing them from the audience when the parents bail. When Steam rusts up all the instruments, he has them all sing a cappella. He interrupts Lisa's big speech about gender, introducing Martin's award for Best Flautist. In My Fair Laddie, he takes over Willie's job, as the next lowest guy on the totem pole. He is not good at this job either. He does get to show off his pipes and his fern at the end of this number though. What elevates his season 17 though, is that we actually get Mr. Largo lore, and that's what we're really here for. In Homer's paternity coot, it's revealed that he got into Juilliard, but his acceptance letter got lost in the mail. Largo is not pleased by this revelation. And in See Homer Run, he and Smithers are pulled from a car after an accident. Mr. Largo nervously explains that they were carpooling, and that's it. They had never really done closeted gay jokes targeted at Largo in the past. Like, you could speculate about him, but they were never like doing this stuff. This was strictly Smithers and sometimes Patty's domain. So this joke marked a shift in his characterization, that he is not only a Lisa satellite character, he is now a part of the writer's illustrious pool of Springfield gays. Over the next couple seasons, as the standard def winded down, he'd get a couple appearances per year. In seasons 18 and 19, he asks who's the out-of-town idiot on third clarinet, and very awkwardly backs off when realizing it's Fat Tony's kid, running out of the room. Mr. Largo plays a faun in Earthland Realms, telling Bart that he lives in a loft before attacking him. He directs the band at Martin's memorial service, as well as for Lisa's independent film, calling this number Homer's Lament. Season 20 provides 2 of his weirdest jokes. In Coming to Homerica, they ban immigrants and xylophones, And, wouldn't you know, Mr. Largo is right there with a xylophone for some reason. And in Eeny Teeny Maya Mo, Dr. Nick does the limb shortening procedure on the wrong person. He was actually there to transition to being a woman, angrily exclaiming he looks nothing like Julie Newmar. Once again, on The Simpsons, all gay men secretly want to be women. We have truly entered the Smithers era of Mr. Largo. Although they did kind of play it coy in the early 20s seasons for a while. Like in season 21, Edna accidentally gets drunk and comes onto him, and he defiantly pulls away, yelling, "Never!" I'm not 100% on this, but I think this is where we learn his first name is Dewey. Early in season 22, he gets on Nelson's case about his Wizard of Oz bike falling apart in a pride parade. Nelson wants to know what kind of pride, and Largo won't say. But then, when they get to Flaming Moe, they kind of stop playing around and are like, yeah, Largo goes to gay clubs. Or tries, at least. He actually meets his true love at Moe's Inclusive Bar, quitting his job and advising his replacement to just teach Lisa. His new love is also named Dewey. We never see other Dewey again. Later, Homer has to explain the concept of gay men to Bart for some reason, and whispers about Mr. Largo, Smithers, and Danny Kaye. Hey, that rumor was unsubstantiated. In the adult Halloween segment we cover in every Simpsons Histories, he parties it up as a geisha. And in season 27, he attends a mixer at the Simpsons house, held for Smithers, later marrying Grady at the town hall. Interesting. Going into this video, who would have predicted a shared romantic link between Homer and Mr. Largo? Now, let me be clear. It's not like Largo was entirely defined by his sexuality and personal life in this era. This was just a new scene that the writers could use him in, and they were clearly interested in exploring that angle. Still, Mr. Largo primarily continued as a Springfield Elementary-oriented character. He's seen directing the band, warming up goulash in the teacher's lounge, working the sign-up sheet, and judging a talent show. When Principal Skinner supposedly retires, he is overjoyed because it means he won the pool. He clearly still doesn't care about his job or his students. When Bart takes over the school, he doesn't give a flying crap until he's told that their paychecks are in there. He is all for Lisa's honor code plan when finding out the teachers won't have to do anything. He calls the students a bunch of disappointments and expresses frustrations about having to teach Ralph. When the students are picking out new instruments, he tells them there's no pressure, because they will all be bad. One of my favorite Largo jokes in this era is when the school is broke and he has to sell the trombone mutes. Nelson immediately makes him regret it, giving him a womp womp. Maybe the most interesting development in this era was the portrayal of the student-teacher dynamic between him and Lisa. Of course, these two have always butted heads, but in the 20s, now that we know Largo better, they went deeper into his vocational bitterness and how it reflects on Lisa. In season 22, Lisa comes back from art camp and is crazy bebopping it up again, like at season 1. But this time, after shutting her down, Largo wistfully explains how art camp just fills you with unrealized hopes and dreams. When Lisa asks how he copes, he says vanilla wafers and plum wine. In season 27, Lisa tries getting him to help with a concert, and Largo professes that he would, but has come to hate music. Lisa insists that she knows he'll help because, deep down, he remembers music can be magical. Largo decides he can't kill her passion, and will instead let the 3rd grade band teacher do it. Wait a minute, there's a 3rd grade band teacher? But you teach 4th graders too. Still, this is a nice scene, showing that Lisa recognizes that remaining passion in her bitter and jaded teacher. However, this sentiment does not last. 2 seasons later, right smack in the middle of the opening credits, Mr. Largo follows her and point blank tells her to give up the sex forever. But unlike the early years, where he's just a burnt out asshole, we get a better sense of his motivation. He explains that the world is full of Lisas who end up getting disappointed after pursuing music. He wants her to stop before she ruins her life. Skinner fist bumps him for encouraging her to give up on her dreams, and shows her a montage of people who failed in life. Once again, this is a devastating thing to do to someone, and we're clearly not meant to like Mr. Largo for it. But they're adding a personal angle to him, where this warning reads as coming from someone who has seen this before. It only took 20-something seasons, but we're getting a sense of what this guy's problem is. This culminated in season 30, where Mr. Largo finally got substantial backstory and a character spotlight. Remember from the opening credits video that mention of the weird super quick opener from Girls in the Band? Well, it led right into Largo dreaming of his college graduation in 1999. He and another student won the Golden Baton Award, and the presenter surmises that one of them will be a great success and the other will fall by the wayside. He awakens from this recurring nightmare next to his boyfriend, who pokes fun at him, and Largo doesn't appreciate it. Now, supposedly, this guy's name is Jeffrey, but unless I missed it somewhere, I don't know if it was ever confirmed on the show. Anyway, Jeffrey is the absolute worst. At breakfast, Jeffrey's getting on his case about the various bills and errands he needs Dewey to get done. Despite Jeffrey loafing around the house all day on Pinterest while Mr. Largo goes to work. These two have a dog together named Sir Winston. At school, a famous director from Capital City reaches out and will be at their upcoming concert. Mr. Largo sees this as his big break, and for the first time in his life, will actually try. He puts in the work preparing them, and they put on an excellent concert, even impressing Homer. But alas, this director guy fakes him out, revealing he was actually there to recruit Lisa for his youth orchestra. Then the episode becomes an inevitable Whiplash parody, and Mr. Largo goes away. But don't you worry, he returns during the end credits, driving home as Jeffrey criticizes his car. He surprises him by changing the locks to the condo, effectively kicking Jeffrey to the curb. Hooray! He informs him that their dog's name is actually Puccini now. But when Jeffrey accepts the new canine name, Largo says that's all he ever wanted, and takes him back. Boo! I've only known this guy for only one episode, but I am already convinced that Largo deserves better. I don't care if he helped him with his bow tie, he is the worst. Earlier, in season 30, we did see Largo with this other guy who snarkily remarks that it's nice seeing another couple in trouble, and making a dig at Largo's appearance. Kind of a proto-Jeffrey. It does show that Mr. Largo has a type, I guess, and that type is Posh Sponge. In these later seasons, we see Mr. Largo and Jeffrey together in the background, often with their little bulldog. Seems like this is a different one than what we saw previously, so don't know if Jeffrey got rid of Puccini or what. In season 36's Homer and Her Sisters, it appears Largo is finally leaving this guy for good, although I'll believe it when I see it. Also, now they have pugs together. Simpsons writers, I know you love the gay men and their little dog stereotype, but at least pick a consistent breed, jeez. Mr. Largo never got another spotlight after Girls in the Band, but they did make good use of him in Springfield Elementary plots. Instead of conducting, now he'll run off to the closet and eat CBD gummies with his noise-canceling headphones. He'll fight with Ralph over his triangle playing skills again, and will deny Lisa first chair after someone challenges her. In another episode, Lisa becomes a tiresome, sardonic shithead and tells him that for someone who waves that wand, nothing magical ever happens, and that he's a sad little man whose best days never happened. You know, it says something about where they're going with this episode that it makes you feel bad for Mr. Largo of all people. In later episodes, he rolls his eyes at the new teacher on the block's optimism, and we find out about his deep-seated rivalry with Springfield High School's band director. He buys weed from Shauna, meeting up in the ball shed for the sale. In an anthology episode, he plays the Italian artist Verrocchio, judging his students' efforts to see whose work will have the honor of his name being on their painting. Naturally, Lisa's work is so impressive that he feels like a failure and pivots to music. Largo's taken on a couple more odd jobs, probably to support Jeffrey's lavish lifestyle, telemarketing in the teacher's lounge in one episode, and working for Gimme Chow with Marge in another. It's nice seeing Mr. Largo highlighted in a new setting in this one, mixing it up with Marge instead of Lisa. Being part of a teachers union already, he is the first person who agrees to join Marge's, and goes on strike with them about overtime pay. I always like seeing randos in new character groupings, so this was a fun take on him. He can be more than just a gay band teacher. I confess, I've always had a soft spot for Mr. Largo, because I was a total band geek in high school. Lisa's bandroom scenes have always felt relatable to me. Having good band directors did positively influence my life by helping me develop some self-confidence in my awkward teen years. This channel probably wouldn't exist if I wasn't encouraged creatively. It's really sad that Lisa has been stuck with Mr. Largo, who is yet another barrier for her to truly develop those skills. Bleeding Gums Murphy can't be around in every episode, so Mr. Largo ended up being a useful tool in demonstrating Lisa's musical passion. He occupies some of the same space as Miss Hoover, another burnout whose job is to shut Lisa down. But I think Largo is a stronger character thematically than Miss Hoover, in that they have that shared music link. There is something more personal about him shutting Lisa down. It's clear that Dewey Largo sees a younger version of himself in Lisa's personality. His own dreams were dashed, and now, just to make a living, he's teaching Lisa how to travel down that same road. Since his passion wasn't teaching, you can see why this would be emotionally exhausting, why he would be resentful of her. His own bitterness combined with cynicism about her future. In that spotlight, the two actually have this really nice dramatic moment, where he congratulates Lisa and says that it feels like some small piece of him is taking a step forward. Lisa, recognizing his personal disappointment, says that's so generous of him. And he replies, yes, there is an upside to having a broken spirit. Damn, I can't believe season 30 actually got me to care about this guy. Say what you want about the later seasons, but they have been good about finding those hidden, unexplored corners of Springfield and humanizing these randos. Like, Mr. Largo still sucks in so many ways, but I get him now. He feels more like an actual person, compared to the generic mean teacher he was during the classic era. After looking up the Freddy, everyone should go watch Mr. Holland's Opus after this video. We should appreciate our beleaguered band directors more. Anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Mr. Largo and your favorite moments of his. Bonus points if it's not one of these two jokes. We've really been hammering away at the Springfield Elementary crew in this series, and I'm glad to add Largo to the list. As always, let me know who you'd like to see for the next Simpsons Histories. Jasper, Johnny Tightlips, and Jacqueline Bouvier got a lot of votes last time, as did Willie if we want to run it back to school. Or I could look up all of Squeaky Voice Teen's appearances and make Tariq happy. Let your voice be heard. As always, thanks for watching.